Hey, this is Philip with G6 Technology Services. In this video, we've got two Dell R720 2U rack mount servers that we'll be unboxing. The reason that I have two is because the Amazon listing where I got these from, which they were somewhere around $500 a piece. One of them was a little bit cheaper than the other, but the reviews for it were saying that it was misrepresented or it came damaged or something like that, and I had already bought that one, so I decided to put the order in for the other one instead of canceling the first one and just compare and see what the condition's like. And if they're both good, I'll keep them, but if the one's bad, I'll send that one back, and then I'll still have one that I can use. So the one with all the red and white tape on it is the more expensive one that had the better reviews, and the box does feel a lot sturdier. I don't know how to really explain it, but this one feels kind of mushy, like the cardboard's not as thick. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just unbox this one first, and we'll get it on the workbench, and we'll make sure that what it actually has inside matches the listing, and then we'll power it on and just make sure everything works. We'll be putting VMware ESXi on both of these, assuming that they both work. So I've got ESXi 7 on a flash drive we'll install, and then we'll have a Patriot SSD that the ESXi will be installed onto, and then we'll have a mixture of other hard drives and SSDs for a local data store, and then we do have the network shared storage as well. So let me get the tripod set up, and we'll unbox this first server. Alright, so we've got our box cutter. Let me get this laid over. And I do, like I said, notice that the box is better on this one. It also seems like it's taped up better. It has more fragile stickers and things on it than the other one. But let's get this cut open. Alright, so we've got some, oh, you can't really see that. Let me get the flaps open and we'll take the camera down off of there. Alright, so we have a mix of styrofoam and bubble wrap, basically. I was kind of expecting the expanding foam because that's what's been in servers that I've ordered before. But anyway, let's get some of this out of the way. So this is some of the nice, the interconnected, kind of unpoppable bubble wrap. Alright, and then we've got, I'm just going to take all this out of here just to see what's in it. I think that's just all packing. There's something here. Okay, looks like they gave us power cord, so that's good. Maybe there's even two in there. Ooh, that was loud. This isn't going to have anything in it, that's just all packing. Definitely packed well, it doesn't look damaged. Get over here, get that out. It's all underneath it. Alright, so it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Let me go ahead and lift it up out of here, and we'll put it on the workbench. And I'm not going to record that part because you don't need to see me struggle to lift this up. Alright, so we got it up on here. Let me see what we get in this bag. Oh, okay. They gave us the handle. So that's good. That'll go right there. So we'll put that back on. And we get two power cords. So that's good. And then physically, everything actually looks like it's in really good shape. I don't see any dents or anything. There's normal scratches from, you know, where the original owners would have used it, because you can't rack and unrack it without getting some scratches on it. We've got all the standard things. We've got our CD drive, which is nice. And I did go with the 3.5-inch drive bay model. Because the two of these, if I can get both of them to work, one will be an NVR for the security camera system, and one will be a file server. And in both cases, we'll be using 3.5-inch drives. For the NVR, I'm not really aware of any 2.5-inch drives that are rated for video recording continuous, and I don't want to burn up SSDs doing that. And the file server is going to be for archival purposes, so I'm going to be filling it with as large as I can get regular hard drives, and then we're going to just have that back up to the cloud. So in both cases it just made more sense to go with the 3.5-inch disc version. So let's actually take a look at those while we're here and see what it came with. I'm not actually sure because the listing didn't specify. Okay, 2 terabyte, 7200 RPM SAS. Well, that's actually really nice because the listing just said 2 terabyte, so I was kind of under the impression that the total in a RAID or just the total raw value was going to be 2 terabyte for the whole thing. So that's actually great that it's coming with all 2 terabyte. Yeah, it looks like they're all the same Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, so they're not some gross brand. It's actually a real brand. We've got just a few more. I'm just going to slide all of them out and double check. Yep. That's really nice, actually. Very pleased with that. So hopefully they're all good and they survived shipping. Yep, they're all 2 terabytes. So that's excellent. I was actually going to put a 2.5 to 3.5-inch converter in one of these with an SSD just as the boot drive for ESXi, but I may end up just using an SD card or a flash drive, or we'll see if this model actually comes with an internal 2.5-inch bay, because some of them do. Let's see, on the back we have just our standard 4 gigabit Ethernet, our iDRAC, and serial VGA, 2 power supplies, and a bunch of unused expansion slots. So let's go ahead and look on the inside and see what is in here. Let's see. It's all standard things. Let me get this out of here. There we have our RAM. It's supposed to come with 192 gigabytes of RAM. There's a bunch of HP stuff in here, interestingly enough. Let's see if I can zoom in on one of these. Yeah, 16 gigabytes HP. So let me see what this adds up to. Well, if they're even all the same, hopefully they are. All the ones that I can see the label are identical. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 16 gigabyte slots. So yep, that is 192. Very nice. And I am just looking around to see if I can find any internal 2.5-inch drive bay. I don't know where it would be on this model, so I'm just kind of poking around and looking for it. I do see the internal USB drive, or USB port, so I may end up just doing that, although oh, is this it? No, that's just covering up another heatsink. Although I do think I remember seeing somewhere where VMware doesn't recommend booting off of a flash drive anymore, possibly. So I'm going to need to research and double check that, but I'm not really seeing anything. So I might end up just going with the flash drive. So anyway, I don't recall off the top of my head what the CPUs were supposed to be, but we'll find out whenever we get it booted up, because that looks like it's going to be the next step. Or actually I'm going to put this handle on, and then which just kind of screws in right there. And then we'll get it booted up. Alright, well, never mind. I'm not going to put these handles on because, unfortunately, they take a giant Torx bit, which that's not going to want to focus on that, but anyway, it takes a giant Torx bit that I don't have, so I guess the handle's going to stay off of it. I guess they just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to break off, but I kind of wish they would have left it on. So I'm going to have to find a big Torx bit for that, but in the meantime we'll get the cover put back on, get it plugged in, and we'll see if it turns on. Alright, so I've done a little bit of research, and it turns out right, I didn't see this other connector back in here, but the blue and white here are working SATA ports. One of them is for the optical drive, and it says the other one is for like an optional tape backup drive or something. But in either case, I don't have the power connection. It looks like this one right here is for the optical drive. So we're not going to be able to do internal SATA, it looks like, and it says that they're also only SATA 2. And I think all of the onboard USB is USB 2. I don't see the blue insert or the super speed logo. So I think what I'm actually going to do is just utilize the drives that it came with, and I'm just going to have to figure out how I best want to do that. I'm kind of thinking what I'll do is just RAID 1 the first 2 drives and install ESXi right onto that, and then use that also as a data store for the NVR virtual machine, and then we will probably RAID 6 the rest of the drives and make that a second data store and put another virtual disk on that, which will be used to actually record the video onto. So I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, but we'll see as I keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and get the top put back on, and then we'll get booted up into the BIOS just to take a look around, see what the CPU specs are, because I don't remember off the listing. And then, assuming everything looks good, we'll go ahead and get ESXi 7 installed on here. Alright, so I just plugged in the power and it's started the fan up. We'll go ahead and get our video plugged in. Configuring memory. Where's my keyboard? This is loose, everything looks blue. Okay, we got two 2.6 gigahertz 8-core processors. So that's not bad. System memory 192, so it did detect that. Entering the life cycle controller. We are going to have to reconfigure the RAID, but I'll wait until it boots into the life cycle controller. One virtual drive. Wonder what they ended up doing there. Probably just put the entire thing into RAID 0. But we'll see. We'll take a look at the front panel while it's doing that. So yeah, I've got all of our drives blinking. And it's orange there complaining that one of the power supplies isn't plugged in. Which, oh yeah, that was something else I wanted to mention, is that they just gave me 18 gauge power cords for this. The ones that come with it are 14, so that's not the best. I think these are, I don't know what the rating is for 18. I'll have to see, but it shouldn't be stressed out too bad. Doesn't say on there. Well, it just turned off. I don't remember if that's part of it, if that's normal, or if it had a problem. Just hit our power button. It's supposed to be booting into the life cycle controller. But anyway, this could take a little while, so I'll just come back when we've actually gotten somewhere. Alright, it did boot up into the system setup. I think I might have missed a prompt that was I just noticed at the bottom of the last screen that said F1 to continue or F2 to enter setup, so I might have just been not paying attention and it just timed out and shut off. So let's look and see. I just want to check the RAID configuration real quick, if that's in that menu option. I don't remember. Alright, so our integrated RAID controller, H710. Let's just look at all the options and just see what they have. Battery management, what do we have? Optimal, 430 milliamp hours. So it's a little bit used, but not bad. What do we have in here? It's all okay. Virtual disk management. View. We have almost 15 terabytes. So that would be, yep, they just put them all in RAID 0. So 2 terabytes times 8 is about 16. Let's see, manage. Yeah, RAID 0. So we're going to be undoing that. Actually, I want to just delete that. Just under select virtual disk operations, delete virtual disk. Yes. Okay. Back. So, well, now why can't I create one? Reconfigure? No. Let me go back again. Oh, there we go. Alright, just a buggy menu. Create. RAID 1. I don't know, does it need a name? Alright, so we have our RAID 1 with 2 disks. That all looks okay. Create. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and create another one. We'll do RAID 6. I'll just call it data. And actually check all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. Apply. And that's all fine. Create. Yes. Alright, so now we have our 2 arrays. We have our RAID 1, 2 terabytes, which is going to have our OS, which is ESXi is going to be on there, and also a data store. And then we have, oops, our RAID 6, which has about 7.5 terabytes. this all looks like it's okay, so we're going to go ahead and boot up off of ESXi and get that installed. Alright, so I did finally get ESXi installed onto here. I had to use the internal USB port for some reason. It wouldn't work on any of the external ones, so I don't know if that's a setting or just a security thing. But anyway, we're going to get this shut down and then we're going to move it into the rack. So I'm just going to do that now, shut down in progress. And then while we're waiting for that, I've got some Dell Ready rails here. So we're going to go ahead and put those in the rack in the other room, and then we'll go ahead and carry the server in. So here is the rack in the server room. I do have a video where I went over this on my channel if you want to see that. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is I moved the PC over there that used to be on this shelf. So we're going to put these two servers in 20 and 21 for one of them, and 22 and 23 for the other one. So I've got the set of rails down here. So we're going to go ahead and install those. They're actually really easy. I love these Dell rails. They're completely toolless and snap in super easy. So this is the left front. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try and see if I can do this while holding the camera. But basically what happens, you have, alright, let's see if I can get that in there. So these pins just hook into the back of the rack, and then the pins on the other side hook into the front of the rack. So I'm going to try and see if I just set this here. Maybe you can kind of see it. But you just need to figure out what units you're going to use. So like I said, 22 and 23, and you just kind of reach behind in here and just kind of pull it, and it goes, locks itself in. On the front here, you just kind of push it in. And then it just latches into place. Alright, so it did actually go ahead and latch in. I just had to kind of pull it out and push it in again. So now we've got our other one. So basically, we do the same thing. We're going to line it up in the back. Let's see if I can get this. We're going to line it up in the back with 22 and 23. And then you just give it a tug and it locks in. And then the front here, same thing, line it up with 22 and 23. And then you just give it a little push. And so these rails are installed now. So what we're going to do is just pull out the rails, lock them all the way out, and then we're just going to set our server down. It has little pins that go into these little boot shaped things here. So I'm not going to show myself struggling to do that by myself. It's definitely recommended to have two people if you're going to be doing that. But I'll come back when the server is installed. Alright, well unfortunately it looks like these are not the right rails for this. These have three little screw holder things, and these servers have 4 screws, and the positions don't line up, so I thought they were universal, but apparently not. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of research and find out what kind of rails I need for that. And then I also need to get another battery backup. I just got it plugged into the wall. This little one is full, and this one on the back is full. I would like to get a nice, beefy rack mount one, but it's a little bit too expensive right now, so we're just going with the little cheap ones, which they hold just fine. I've got these two PowerEdge R30s on that little guy, and this is just in the wall, and these other two and all the network equipment and this one back here are on this one back there. So we're just going to wait for this to boot up, and then I'm going to try and access this over the network. I did configure my switch port, which I just ran this in the front right now because I'm going to have to clean all this up again anyway. So anyway, I'm going to let that boot up. That one seems to be working just fine, so we're going to put that one in service. I do have, like I said before at the beginning of the video, I'm going to make this one the NVR. I do have an existing NVR. It's one of these two precisions on the bottom here, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that one going and then set the new one up and have them both running in parallel for maybe like a month. And then if the new one works fine, then we'll go ahead and decommission the old one. And then the secondary, or the second server that I bought, we'll go ahead and try and unbox that, take a look at it, boot it up, make sure everything's okay, and then we'll probably use that for a file server, or it may end up being a backup video recorder, because this one didn't end up having as much space as I was hoping it would. The current one is mirroring two 8TB drives, and I think we're going to end up with about 8 terabytes in this RAID 6 array. So at some point in the future, I would like to replace those 2 terabyte drives. Well, I'd like to replace the two mirrored drives at the beginning here that have ESXi installed onto them. I'd like to replace both of those with the SSD. And then I'd like to replace all of these 6 drives over here with probably the 8 terabyte Western Digital NVR rated drives. But it really doesn't make too much of a difference right now. If we lose anything on here, we're not really worried about saving that footage for a long time. If it dies, then we'll just start recording again from whenever we replace the drives. It just, in the off chance that some incident happens when the drives die, that would be the bad thing, but we don't have to keep it for any legal reasons or retention policies or anything like that, so not a big deal. But like I said, we'll try and run both of them in parallel for a little while just to make sure, and then we'll go ahead and decommission the other one. So this is booting up, so we're gonna leave that alone for a minute, and let's go and try to unbox that other one and see what it's like. Alright, so this one, like I said, it kind of felt the box felt a little bit mushy. There's not as much tape on it, but it did make it here without ripping open, so that is positive. Okay, and they used the expanding foam. That's what I was expecting in the first one, and that stuff actually usually does a great job. A little bit stuck together there. Alright, they left the handle on it for me. But, yep, it's in there, so let's go ahead and get this put up on the bench. Alright, so yep, I can immediately tell this does seem like it's in a lot rougher shape. And this actually isn't even the right model. This is a 720XD. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it still has 8 drives. I thought they shorted me, but it just has more bays. So I got this big hole because they did not put any blanks in there. But that's fine, I can still use it. This little ear is loose, so I'm going to hopefully be able to tighten that up. Yeah, it does look like it's in a little bit rougher shape on the outside. Let's see. We have the iDRAC port covered up. So I don't know if that means it doesn't have it, or I think if I remember correctly from the other one, it was saying something about the Enterprise version having a dedicated port, and the standard version, it just shares one of your regular ports there. So this one also has these, whatever this is, where the other unit did not. So that's interesting. Let's open it up and we'll see. Actually, let me check out these drives first and see what we get. Alright, these are Seagate. Okay, they are SAS, so that's good. Where is the capacity? I'm trying to locate it. Yeah, I don't see it on here. The model says ST2000, so maybe they are 2 terabytes. So let's do like the other one, and we'll pop them all open. Same thing, Seagate ST2000. Same thing. Same thing. They do have differing date codes on them. That one we just pulled out said 11, this says 12. I think there was a 13 over on the left. This is, looks like a different label. This is a 15. And 11. So hopefully these are still good. I don't know how many hours are on them. 2012. So yeah, that'll work, I guess. The other ones were, I think, better drives, the HP Enterprise. So let's pop our cover. Let's see what's inside. This one's a little bit dusty on the... No, I guess that's just a stain. Pop our cover. Okay, so we do look like we have a lot of RAM in here, so they didn't... Hopefully didn't short me. They'd put the blanks in here too. The other one didn't have that. These are 16 gigabytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think that's what we had in the other one. And these actually... Oh, that's strange. Look at this. Oh, that's really bizarre. Cisco RAM. That's... Huh. It's still a Samsung 16 gigabyte, but that's weird that it says Cisco on it. I wonder what that would go to, or what it came from. So, yeah, I kind of get what the other reviewers were saying about this company, where the whole thing just seems more cobbled together and in rougher shape. The slightly more expensive one definitely seems better. Oh, yeah, and we didn't get a CD drive either because the XD model doesn't have that. So, that's fine. Are these 2.5 inch? I think these are internal 2.5 inch bays. But I don't know how you're supposed to use them because I don't see any connections. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, technically it looks like it meets the description, but yeah, I probably in the future I'd spend the extra like $20, $30 or whatever it was to go with that other reseller, because they just seem like they're in a lot better shape. So let's get the cover on. I'll get it plugged in. So I can get this on. Alright, well I can't do that with one hand. Hold on. Alright, so got the cover back on. Here's this bag that it comes with. So let's see what these power cords are. Where is it? Yep. 18 gauge. Yep. So still the same 18 gauge power cords. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this plugged in. Alright, got it plugged in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the power in, this time with the camera on so you can see what it does. Ominous droning. So I am. Wait for that to settle down. It might have gave me a bad drive. Okay, here we're coming up. 2.7 gigahertz, 8-core processor, 192 gigs of RAM. I don't know what the other one said. Didn't it say 2.8? Not sure. We'll see if they pre-configured the RAID on this one too. So we were able to get into the BIOS. Everything looks right. So we're going to go ahead and try and get ESXi on here as well. Alright, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not able to see any way to get into the RAID configuration. So I'm going to open this back up and just make sure it actually even has that, because it's supposed to, and I'm not seeing it. So we'll go to System Setup, and then I guess System BIOS maybe would say. System Information, nope. Memory Processor, Boot, Integrated Devices. Not really mentioning anything. I just want to see if I can see the drives individually. System Profile, Miscellaneous, no. Security Profile, no. So I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the RAID card come up, and I'm not seeing drives in here, so I'm just going to power this to, oh sorry if the camera was wandering, I was looking at the screen. Yeah, so I'm just going to turn this off and look inside. I mean, something's happening though, because they've got power lights, except this one, which it does spin up, so it might just be that LED is bad in there. But yeah, I'm just going to shut this off, and let's look inside. And I mean, yeah, it looks like it's there. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Let me dig into it further. Alright, well I just unplugged the RAID card and plugged it back in. I don't know if I was just missing it the first time or if it just came loose during shipping or something, but it's here now, so I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the other one. This one, at least, I guess I have to give them a little bit more credit because they set this one up in RAID 6, so if somebody didn't bother reconfiguring it and just installed something right on it out of the box, they at least get some protection. And it's not just RAID 0'd like the first one was, so... actually, so I've kind of reconsidered what I'm going to be doing. And sorry if I'm talking kind of loud. This thing, the fans are kicked up kind of high for some reason. But I've kind of reconsidered what I want to do. Oh, what's this? That's weird. This was in the box. I wonder what that goes to. Anyway, I've kind of reconsidered. The free version of ESXi does not let you have more than 8 virtual CPUs per VM. So I don't think I want to run the NVR through ESXi, and since I kind of like that other server that we installed in the rack earlier, I like that one a little bit better. I kind of trust it more. I'll make that an ESXi host for just regular VMs, and then this one here I'm probably just going to install. I'll see if I can get Windows 10 on it, because that just is a little bit easier. But if not, then I'll have to find like Server 2016 or something, but I'd rather try and see if I can get Windows 10 on there if I can find RAID drivers for it. But anyway, that way I can utilize the entire CPU, or set of CPUs, all the cores, because through ESXi I can't do that unless I buy a license, which I don't want to do. So with this in RAID 6, actually I don't know what the formatted amount is, unless that's it right there, 11 terabytes. That might be it. How many do we have? Oh, it says right here. There are 8 physical disks. 8 times 2 is 16. So yeah, that's probably the formatted capacity, or not formatted, but the minus all of the parity data of the RAID. That's the available amount, which actually it'll go down probably a little bit more once we format it, but still, that's more than the 8 terabytes that's in the current NVR, so we should be getting significantly more CPU and RAM and slightly more disk space. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I'll just go ahead and just install Windows on there directly. And then we'll just run it like that for a while and see how it goes. I do have extra drive bays over here, so if I can find a caddy, I'm just trying to think real quick, sorry if I'm pausing, but if I can find a caddy, I might just try and stick an SSD in there and run Windows off of that, and then just have the other drives, the RAID array, just be for storage. This does look like it has the internal, I guess I can open this, it's going to get louder, but already loud, so whatever. But it does look like it has 2 internal drive bays. I just have to figure out how you're supposed to, yeah, it's angry, let me close it. But I just have to figure out how you're supposed to connect to it, because it doesn't look like there's any power in there unless you have to have a special adapter cable. So I'm not sure, but this looks like it's trying to initialize, so I'll just leave it doing that, I guess, and we'll get Windows on there. I think I still have, yeah, there's my Windows, so we'll come back when that's finished and put Windows on there. Alright, so actually it's been several days since I filmed last, but anyway, the initialization is finished on this virtual disk, so we're going to go ahead and shut this down. I've kind of gone back and forth on what I was going to actually use this system for. Let me turn this off so we can hear. It's very loud. So the first system, I think I'm going to actually end up making that. I think I said before I was going to do an ESXi host out of it. I think I'm actually going to do a NAS. I'm going to do true NAS on it. I currently have that running on a precision workstation tower, and I think that the this new server would be perfect for that because it has the 3.5-inch drive bays. So I can go ahead and reuse the existing 3.5-inch drives that I have, and it also would be pretty easy to add more in the future. This unit, solely because I don't quite trust it as much, which I know is not a good reason, but this is going to be the NVR. That's not something that's super critical. If that dies and blows up and loses all the recordings, really isn't a big deal. On the off chance that that happens, when an incident happened, I need the footage off of it, you know, that's just a shame, but I really don't think that's going to happen. Things don't really happen that much around here, and it actually has been fairly reliable in the few days to a week or so that I've had it. It's been running there and hasn't crashed or shut down or anything, even though it was just booted into the RAID card. But anyway, since I have extra drive bays, I think what I want to do is see if I can somehow get a SATA drive for the boot drive so that Windows is not booted off of the array that's being constantly written to, just to hopefully give it a little bit more performance. I do have 3 extra bays here, which, as far as I know, they should work. Actually, I have 4 extra bays. I don't know why I thought there was only 2 on the side here, but I want to try and get an SSD in here. I've looked again, and I don't see anywhere that I can put one internally. Get this off of here. There's these 2 bays right here, but I just cannot find anywhere to plug into those. And as far as I know, the 2 the white and blue ports down here are supposed to be for, if this was not the XD model and it had more space in the front, there would be a CD drive and some other things like that. And I don't think that these are even full speed SATA ports. I think, according to what I was reading, they're SATA 2. And that's not going to work for what I want, so I don't even know where I would get power from if I had a free SATA port anyway, because it just has these things right here. So there might just be a proprietary cable that I'm going to have to order. So I don't know. I think my best course of action right now would be to just use one of these front bays if I can get a caddy and some kind of adapter bracket or something, because the SSD is 2.5 inch. These are 3.5 inch bays, and I'm not sure if I have an extra adapter, so I'm gonna have to look around and find one. But in the meantime, let's go back and look in the other room. So I think this is pretty much where we were at when I showed you this before, where I just had to put this thing on a shelf, and the other one's gonna just have to go on top of it, because I cannot find rails here that fit these servers. The ones that are in here, like I said before, they only have the 3 little holes, and the servers have 5 pins, and the pins that are on there don't even line up with the 3. So there's just absolutely no way I can use these. I was looking on like Amazon, they're like $90 for a set of rails, so I don't know. I really do like the rails. These other ones have rails, and I don't know if I can get this out of here with one hand, but yeah, see? The rails are just so nice because you can just slide these in and out and work on them and not have to worry about things falling, and they latch into place. That's just so nice. But also, those were free and came with the servers, and I don't want to have to spend $100 times 2, because both of them need them, when I could get a, you know, like $40 shelf. So I don't know, I'll think on it. In the meantime, just to get the one off the workbench, it's just going to go sit on top of this one in here. And these are the precisions I was talking about. So the I don't remember which one's which. One's the NVR and one's the TrueNAS. So I'm going to look and see, on the off chance that I actually used a 3.5 to 2.5 inch drive adapter bracket in the NAS, or in the NVR one, I mean, I can just steal that out of there and even just reuse that SSD and everything too. And yeah, I may not even have to reinstall from scratch if I do that. I'll have to obviously worry about drivers, but I don't know, I might try that. We'll see. Let me open it up real quick and see what I ended up putting in there, because I, like I said, don't remember. Alright, well, I don't have an extra caddy because I'm using all of the drive bays in the other server, and I don't have the adapter bracket, and I have my SSD. So what I think I'm going to do, I know you just close your eyes now and don't even look, but I think I'm just going to end up trying to shove it in there and just let it sit. And it's not going to get moved around too much. That should be fine in the meantime. But I am going to order an adapter bracket and another caddy off of Amazon, just so I can not have it be completely super janky. But in the meantime, that should at least be able to get it usable. I'm probably going to have to boot back up into the RAID configuration and set that bay to not be a RAID drive, just be an individual drive. Also, I need to find the RAID driver, because I would be surprised if Windows 10 is going to find it or have it built in. I am just going to be running Windows 10, not server, just because I don't have a license for server and I don't want to run it unactivated, and I've got spare Windows 10 licenses. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. Alright, well, it's in there, and it actually sits pretty well on the bottom, and it's very light, so I think I'll get by with that for a little bit. And I had to create a single disk RAID 0, because apparently this RAID controller doesn't support just passing a disk through. So if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments, but as far as I've been able to research, you can't do it. So we have our SSD in its own RAID by itself, and I think we're ready to see if we can get Windows to boot up. I actually ended up putting the USB drive in the internal USB port, because on the other server I couldn't get the ESXi installer to load when it was in the back or the front. So I put it on the one on the inside, and then it showed up. So I don't know if that's a security thing, but anyway, my flash drive is in there with the Windows 10 installation, so we're going to reboot and see if I can get Windows 10 installer started up on here, and then the next trick will be seeing if it picks up these drives. Okay, I just missed the Windows logo, but oh, there it is. It did decide that it wanted to boot up, so that's nice. So I'll wait until this loads the rest of the way, which should be pretty quick. There we go. Oh, I hope this wasn't Windows 11. I don't think so. I don't remember it looking like this. I think I just updated this. Alright, so I was just confused earlier. I wasn't watching the screen while it was booting up because this takes so long. But apparently, I could have sworn that I destroyed and rebuilt this RAID array, but I guess I didn't, and it came pre-installed with Server 2016. So it booted up to that. And so now I'm in the boot manager, and I'm just going to select the flash drive explicitly from the list. So this should look a lot more familiar. I guess the other thing was just an abbreviated out-of-box experience for Server 2016, which I do not want. I'll blow that away. I never use pre-installed OSs on refurb used PCs, just because you never know what they could have put on it along with Windows. So let's see, this should boot up pretty quick. Alright, yeah, so this is more familiar. So English, US, install now. And then now we'll see if it actually detects the disks or not, or if we're going to have to put the driver on a flash drive for it. If it even still supports that, used to be able to do that with like Windows XP. I know that was a long time ago. Don't have a product key, I'll put that in later. Go with Pro. And custom, oh nice, it does show up. Perfect. Well, we're going to get rid of all the garbage on this RAID array, because I don't want that. Okay, so now we have our 11 terabytes, which is going to be our data disk. And actually, I might have mentioned before that the NVR had an 8 terabyte hard drive in it. I was wrong. It's actually a 4 terabyte hard drive. So this will be a considerable upgrade. And we're going to go ahead and install Windows on our SSD. I'm so happy that that picked up that RAID card. I really wasn't expecting it to do that. So anyway, I'll come back when we're further along here. Also, this OEM business that it's saying on here, I was not familiar, but I looked up what that was. And apparently this just means that this system was custom manufactured for a customer, where I guess if you're a big enough business, I think it's mostly if you're reselling things like security systems or some kind of appliance or something, but you can actually work with Dell Engineering and they will make you custom firmware, custom motherboard, like the whole thing. So apparently that's what we have here, is this was customized. I don't know what it was. There's no branding or markings on it or anything. And also I had mentioned that this little tab was loose, and I figured out why. I don't know if you can really see, but there is a screw missing right there on the top, and I don't have another one, so that's just going to be loose. So yeah, overall, I guess technically they delivered on what the ad or the listing said, but I'm just really not impressed with this. We also have these LEDs are burned out for this bay. This drive does work, but these LEDs just don't work. And then I don't know why this SSD, we have this flashing light. It might just not like that it's not a SAS drive. I'm not sure. This model doesn't have the screen on it, so I can't scroll through and see what the error message is. It's just flashing this light. So I'll see if I can get into the iDRAC later. This one doesn't have the dedicated port, so I guess it's just sharing with the built-in. So I think if I remember correctly, when we were scrolling through the settings, it was set to DHCP, so I'll put it on a network that has DHCP enabled and plug it in and see if we get anything, and see if I can see why it's upset about the that SSD. It may possibly also be because it's a single disk RAID 0, it's warning that there's no redundancy, but I'm not sure. But I don't mind it just flashing orange. It's going to be locked up in a room that I'm never in anyway. So, alright, well, we got Windows installed. It's just rebooting. It takes ages to reboot. Has to go through all this stuff, lifecycle controller collecting, system inventory, and then initializing firmware interfaces. Oh, there it goes. Okay, well, I guess I should pull the flash drive out from here. Also, something else I was just noticing, I was wondering what these plates were. Right here. And I think what this is, there's supposed to be 2 drive bays. And I think that I just don't have that option on this one, where it's missing the backplane, because there's nothing here for the drive to connect to. So let me pull my flash drive real quick and get this thing closed up, because it does not like having this lid open. It gets very angry. Do that with one hand. I might have to put it down for a minute. Hold on. Okay, got it back on and it's calming down. It really does not like having that lid off of there. Also noticing that air coming out of here is really hot. Now, it's not really doing anything. So I don't know if that's because of all the hard drives just making heat, or if there's something going on. I don't know, maybe that's just normal. The other one, the fans idled down a lot more and it didn't seem like it was blowing as much hot air out. Anyway, we're getting ready. So I think what I'm going to do is, as soon as this comes up to the desktop, I'm going to set the static IP, and then I'll reconfigure the switch in the server room so I have a port to plug it into, and then we'll just move it in there, plug it in, then I can configure everything remotely so I can get this noisy thing out of my workshop. Alright, we've got Windows on here. It's running just fine. It's detecting everything. So surprisingly, here I can pull it up real quick, but surprisingly there's no question marks in Device Manager. I thought for sure there would be something, but everything is showing up. So I'm just going to get the, like I said, the IP address set up on there, and actually we'll need to get our hard drives, or our RAID arrays set up. Okay. 10.9 terabytes. So, there we go. Wow, is Windows really taking that much room up these days? That's crazy. I literally have done nothing. Haven't even done Windows updates. That's crazy. Windows taking up 100 gigabytes. Yeah, wow. Well, that just doesn't seem right. What if I put a 120 gig drive in here? It'd be full. Huh. I don't know. So anyway, we'll let this do some updates, and I'll set that IP address up and we'll move it into the other room. Alright, it's in here. It's booting up. So here's an overview of the rack now. So hopefully these two things are going to go away and will turn into these two things. So our video recorder and our TrueNAS. So I think I'm pretty much going to conclude this video here. The NVR just needs to have the software installed and have the cameras added back to it. So I'm not really going to show that anyway. And then the TrueNAS. I don't know when I'm going to get to that. Basically, I just have to... It's got ESXi on it now because I was going to originally do that with the cameras and decided against it. So basically that one's going to get wiped, get TrueNAS put on it. and then I'm going to have to get everything copied off of our other unit onto this one. I may end up pulling that back out and putting a 10 gig network card in it. I actually wish I would have done that before, because since we don't have the rails, this one's on top of it, so I'm going to have to take both of them out. See, if we had the rails, I could have just pulled it right out and done it with it still sitting in the rack. Not even had to lift it out onto a workbench or anything. So yeah, maybe I will go ahead and order those rails. But I'll do an update video if I end up adding anything. So that's how it sits for now. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.